Welcome to another Total War Warhammer Multiplier replay battle with me, Squawker. And well, this is a battle. Another 2 versus 2. A rematch of the last one you saw, in fact. But it's not just a rematch, no. This, in fact, was the closest battle I have ever fought in this game. This was a game where my hands were practically shaking at the end of the battle. But without further ado, let's just be quick and go through the builds. So it's a 2v2. I am Bretonnia, my ally is Carcassonne, and we are fighting the bane of my life, the dwarves, and also the fearsome warriors of chaos led by Kholek, the one who likes to eat suns all the time. So already the dwarven artillery is making the opening move against me, but my trebuchet as well, of which is the, is this a blessed variety? No, I only brought the regular one this time around, is also having a go at the enemy. But yeah, let's just quickly go through the builds while we are moving in and our artillery is exchanging the opening shots. So, I have a front line of foot squires like I usually bring with Bretonnia. I don't bring a lot of the peasant units apart from, time for time, shielded spears and halberds for the anti-large duties. But that's only really when I have a little bit of money to spare. I've also bought the Grey Relique to give my guys a boost. A Damsel of Life, Leon Leonceur atop Bequis. And also a special unit, the Beast Slayers of Baston, an anti-large unit of foot squires. These guys are pretty fearsome. And also breaking up my back were 2 units of questing knights with the anti-infantry thing, because obviously they were dwarves. And yeah, that's my build just there and then. Not the biggest build in the world, but a pretty tough one. And yeah. Meanwhile, my ally was playing as Carcassonne, and they've brought lots of questing knights, as you can see here, as well as a unit of knights errant, led by the Fey Enchantress, who is atop her unicorn Silvaron, and also a unit of Pegasus knights on my rear. Meanwhile, their front line was made up of just 4 units of peasant mobs, expendable spammy units, mainly just designed to soak up enemy fire and start draining their munitions. That's all peasants are really good for. But also on his other flank, basically he brought even more questing knights, Knights of the Realm, Knight Errant, and also the Green Knight. Extremely tough hit to kill hero unit, who can absorb a lot of damage, very rarely routes, deals massive damage as well, and well, he's ethereal, which means he's immune to practically all damage except magical. So yeah, he is going to be a hard one to kill, but he's on my side, so what do I care? So, we're all marching forward, and that's why we are marching forward in the artillery exchange. Why don't we just quick look at the dwarves? So the dwarves were my primary enemy in this battle, but obviously chaos got themselves involved at some point. They have plenty of dwarf warriors, all of which are using great weapons, mainly just so they could start cutting through the armor of my foot squires. And also 2 units of thunderers to provide the, the thunder. He's also brought plenty of organ guns and a cannon. More great weapon dwarf warriors, and some more also moving around on the flank. In the back, he's got the inevitable slayers, designed to try and kill off my cavalry if I was trying to use them, because obviously when fighting Bretonnia and Carcassonne, you're probably going to be thinking you're going to need some anti-cavalry unit in your army. Some regular dwarf warriors as well, and some quarreler with great weapons. And then, last but not least, the Lord, which was just a regular old Dwarven Lord. Quite isolated this time around. Not really too sure why he did that, but okay. Meanwhile, Chaos, they just bunched their army up. And, well, leading it is the fearsome Kholek Sun Eater, the Dragon Ogre Shoggoth, who can kill pretty much anything that comes near him, basically. So, he's someone who you prefer to avoid, especially when his tail starts clipping in the ground. That probably hurts him and puts him in a bad mood. But leading him, he had well, not leading him, but helping him out, he had the Exalted Hero. 3 units of Aspiring Champions. These are very tough magical infantry. Probably good for killing off the Green Knight, actually, if they get into contact with him. 4 unit of Forsaken, a Frenzied unit that can just deal high damage when their morale is in the ups. Also, 2 units of Chaos Trolls wearing lots of armor, something that my Beast Slayers of Baston would be happy to kill. And also Kholek's mate, a Dragon Ogre Shoggoth, a big anti-large bastard who can basically do a lot of damage. So yeah. Chaos had brought a heavy-hitting army, the Dwarves had brought a big defensive army, I brought a moderate Bretonnian army designed to cut through armor and also, well, deal some damage, and also plenty of magical spells and artillery, but yeah, I basically brought nothing special, apart from my Beast Slayers of Baston, which would be good for taking out the dwarf, well, not the dwarves, but for taking out the chaos. And my ally had brought a heavy cavalry army with plenty of spells and stuff, but peasant mobs, which are already beginning to rout, but I didn't really care about the peasant mobs routing. I mean, one, they weren't my peasant mobs, and two, I think they were fulfilling their purpose. They were just absorbing fire. They were a distraction. They were buying time for my units to start moving up and getting into position. Meanwhile, Lefay, she's leading her cavalry contingent into the dwarven flank, which is quite open and quite exposed. But as you can see, the dwarves are already working to close up that gap, putting their great weapon warriors in the way, ready to stop her, though Lefay is getting quite a bit ahead of herself in this one, actually. She's not exactly the strongest legendary lord of the lot, but she knows what she's doing. Already getting ready to basically cast her first little spells of life. Big old tree just basically came out and started whacking the Slayers one, since they were the key unit for us to get rid of in the Dwarven faction. That's already taken out a few of their numbers and made them weaker, and as you can see, she was also, well, actually that wasn't her, that was me that time round. My damsel had awakened the woods and basically gone in for a few early kills. She was basically making her way in. I wanted to use her basically as much as I could, especially while the winds of magic in this one were actually quite plentiful. Now, the Pegasus Knights are already going in. Some of my spears are taking quite heavy hits from the artillery as well. The reason why I brought my spearmen in first with their shields was one, well, just to absorb enemy fire, basically. Let the Thunderers attack my spears. It buys my unshielded foot squires enough time to get into position and deal their damage. Meanwhile, the Beast Slayers of Baston, they're on their way in. I'd left my trebuchet unguarded. The reason I'd done this was, as far as I could tell, there was no cavalry around. And I was already bringing in another Awakening of the Wood in. Actually, that first one was actually the Fey Intentions. I tell a lie, I was stealing credit. That was my first spell there being popped off. But as you can see, it's already beginning to bring down the numbers of the Dwarves. And yes, Dwarves do have that magic resistance, but everything's helpful. I also cast flesh to stone on my spearmen arms, just to give them some extra armor, just to last a little longer against the Thunderers. Basically mobbed them with my spears, and I just wanted to just get them killed as quick as possible. Just put us into cinematic view as well. As you can see once more, artillery absolutely shredding my guys. Foot squires were just trying to get into position as quick as possible before the dwarven artillery could really ruin us. Organ guns were doing everything they could to bring my men down before they could get in. More great weapon dwarves, as you can see, coming in to charge my foot squires. Pretty big charge. Pretty even fight, actually. These guys are both pretty good units. But my foot squires were going to take this one home, if only by the slimmest of margins. Especially now that my questing knights have gone right into the flank, right as they should. Morale on the dwarf warriors is already collapsing. I mean, yes, I know dwarves already have massive morale anyway. Which is why we need to do these big cold hammer and anvils. Yes, it's one of the most primitive and basic strategies in Total War, but it works, especially against the dwarves. The dwarves have unbelievable holding power in this game, which is why you need to break their morale as quick as possible. Mass routes, back cavalry charges. This is what brings dwarves down. As you can see, my knights were just running riot now. Well, both of ours. Both us and Carcassonne were doing what we could. The enemy, well, actually our sorceress was trying to do what she could to just try and bring down chaos as well. The Green Knight himself had gotten way too involved at this point. He'd gone right into the back. But what he had done was actually quite smart. Kholek and everyone was dealing with the Green Knight because the Green Knight is just a big threat. And while he was taking a lot of damage and basically already nearly down to half health, what he'd done was he'd bought time for us. Chaos was distracted. They'd pulled all the way back here just to chase down the Green Knight. This bought us enough time to basically move in and make the kill on the dwarves, because the dwarves weren't just going to go down instantly. We were throwing everything we had. Carcassonne were moving their knights in to deal with that lord who was just going to sit around, be grumpy and just not die. My spears were doing everything they could to deal with the Thunderers, except the Thunderers were still going to win. But they were pretty low on morale. Trebuchet just continuing to bring down the smack on the enemy. My damsel, I was basically spamming that regeneration spell. Grail Relique as well. I wasn't really being too clever with the Grail Relique in this one, but as you can see, I am trying to bring it in. And all my other units, they're just coming in as well. Got some more Beast Slayers of Baston. They're making their way in. I decided, since they're not going to be useful against the dwarves, I was basically sending them to deal with the Chaos front line. While they're not going to do too well against the Forsaken, these guys should hopefully resist the aspiring champions for a while, since these guys also still do the regular armor-piercing damage that you expect from the foot squires. But these guys should be useful for killing off not only the trolls, but hopefully dealing some harm to Kholek Sun Eater. Meanwhile, King Leon Leonceur I'd been using quite cleverly. His health was still nice and tip-top. I'd just been moving him around, engaging him quickly, but pulling him out quickly as well. Here I just brought him in just to try and get some hits on the Exalted Champions and the Forsaken. Didn't want to keep him in long though, so I just thought, right, let him do what he wants, get him out quickly, keep dealing with these dwarves. I wanted the dwarves eliminated before I was going to help Carcassonne against the Chaos. But as you can see, Carcassonne was more interested in helping me than dealing with Chaos, so yeah. But at the same time, it was an efficient strategy. Deal with one enemy, then move on to the next one. We had the offensive power, we capitalized on it. But also, unlike the last battle, we were moving in our troops smartly. Chaos Trolls, however, though, they'd got into my questing knights, not really what I wanted to happen. So my Chaos Knights, well, questing knights, actually, I don't have Chaos Knights, I'm not playing as Warriors of Chaos, am I? But they'd got in, and they were going to basically kick the shit out of my guys. Needed the Beast Slayers of Baston in there, those guys, not the questing knights. And as you can see, the Exalted Hero as well, he'd found his way to my Spearman. Thought himself, oh yes, nice easy kill, and well, yeah, that's exactly what he had. Nice big spell being cast all over the shop because, well, the Exalted Hero, he was just going to go in for it. Cast his Deadly Onslaught, cast his other one as well. Just wanted to get right in and go for it. Meanwhile as well, big old Dragon Ogre Shoggoth had shown his face, just going in for, yep, easy kills once more, just go for it. Leon, by the way, he'd basically gone to take out an isolated unit of Forsaken, which was, well, something Leon was capable of. He's a large unit, he's a flying monster. The Forsaken, they don't really have any special abilities apart from their frenzy, so may as well just let them have a quick go at it and take out as many of them as he could. And also, once more, Damsel of Life and the Fey Enchantress, who also wasn't dead at this point, by the way. She was being pretty risky, but she managed to keep her way out for a while, and she was also casting the Arcane Conduit. But we were both popping as many life spells as possible, just to keep bringing down the Chaos Warriors. And at this point, yeah, Chaos was beginning to go down. They were retreating, the Beast Slayers of Baston. They had the opportunity to try and get close to Kholek. However, I decided it was not close enough, so I decided to just regroup them quickly because didn't want them to have to carve away through the Forsaken as well. But unfortunately, Leon had reached the end of his useful life in this battle, or at least, well, for a while. Kholek had decided to get involved personally, managed to drive Leon away for a little bit, but luckily this wasn't the end of Leon. He does come back in this one, because yeah, but this was a very close battle. We had made mincemeat of the dwarves, but there was still a pretty tough Chaos army to deal with. Even when there aren't a lot of them, it's still a tough army. I mean, also, yeah, 2 Dragon Ogre Shoggoths. Who do you think's going to win? Well, it's going to be these guys, isn't it? 2 massive dudes. These guys not only tank the health, one of them's Kholek Sun Eater, who has access to loads of spells. He can cast lightning wherever he wants. He also just has the general Legendary Lord buff skills, and his presence was inspiring the Chaos Trolls to just keep on going at it. I popped another life spell here just to try and recover some of the health of my guys. Another spell was coming over here. Not sure who was casting this time around. I think this was my ally. Beast Slayers of Baston, though. I was trying to get them right into the flank. Trying to see if I could push them in. They managed to push into the Chaos Troll. That was Kholek casting the spell, by the way. Luckily, he had missed my Beast Slayers. It got out of the way just in time. And someone else was casting another spell here. I think this was me this time around, just getting ready to pop in a nice big old wood spell. Yep, there we go. Pretty big one, actually. Big explosion. Was beginning to push some of the Forsaken into a rout, and the Dragon Ogre Shoggoth had actually reached the end of his life in this one. He'd been taking a lot of punishment from the Green Knight and all his cavalry cohorts, so yeah. He'd routed and had enough, but still, Kholek was still in the battle. His morale was still extremely high. He may be tired, but that doesn't really bother. I mean, just even a slight jab from that hammer is probably enough to wipe you out in one go. Dwarven Lord had regrouped his ally as well, sucking up to Kholek and trying to do what he could. Fey Enchantress as well, she'd gotten too close for comfort now. Kholek noticed and basically went in to try and smash her up. Not sure if she hit him, or at least he hit her, but yeah. Kholek just going in there, doing what he could. Spells popping off everywhere just to try and keep the survivability of our men up. Everyone was just going in. Beast Slayers of Baston, Foot Squires. Everyone had gone in to surround Kholek while the rest of his army run. Leon himself as well, he'd come back into battle, and I decided not to use him for anything else. Well, not for Kholek. Instead, he went in, knocked out that Dragon Ogre Shoggoth before its morale recovered. And, well, I thought, well, may as well just chase out the rest of them. Or at least I hope I did. But, well, yeah. Leon's purpose for killing that Dragon Ogre Shoggoth had served me very well. He wouldn't come back to battle, but unfortunately the Exalted Hero would. He decided to get his morale back up after taking quite a bit of punishment and thought, right, May as well come in. Meanwhile, Kholek had finished off the Feying Challenges, which one of our spellcasters was down. Winds of Magic as well were beginning to get quite depleted. But I was keeping my damsel around, and she'd actually gone into charge. I think at this point I had actually run out of magic, so... And since the regeneration speed was so slow, because I'd just basically been abusing the Winds of Magic and just spamming out the spells as fast as I could, I thought, well, just got to throw in an extra body to throw at Kholek, basically. You're going to have to just do everything we can to bring him down. His health was getting low, the Beast Slayers of Baston and the Foot Squires were chopping through his armor and doing what they could, but... And also he was a big tag for my artillery, but at the same time, my artillery was probably hitting more allies than it was hitting Kholek, so yeah, probably not really the best idea for me to be hitting my artillery there. Also, the Exalted Hero, he'd come back in. Meanwhile, Leon, still chasing out those last few Forsaken, just doing what he could, really. Just keeping them away before they came back, because, you know what, who wants to deal with more of these Forsaken guys? I don't want to deal with them, especially when I'm trying to kill off Kholek, the spongiest legendary lord of a lot. I mean, right now, his hammer was just coming down, dealing with everything, and it wasn't really doing much good for the morale of my men. Once more, remember, Bretonia is famous for just basically having, well, not crap morale, but really, once the mass morale is instigated, well, a mass rout, it doesn't take a lot of stopping. Or at least it does take a lot of stopping. And yeah, that was the end of my damsel there. Kholek literally just cleaved her in half with that hammer. And that was the end of my ability to cast spells. But my Grail Relique was still nearby, just trying to keep the Great Swords up to standard. But since Kholek had the stamina left, or at least he had the speed, he decided, right, gonna deal with that artillery now, since it was kept hitting him. It'd been chipping away his health quite efficiently, and my men wouldn't catch up, obviously, because their stamina was too low, and obviously Kholek was too fast, so thought, right, yeah, just go for it, take out that artillery, and you, yeah, well, that's my artillery gone. Just keep firing on Kholek. That's all you can do, really. Just trying to hit him as much as we could. But at the end of it, he's going to get in there, and he's going to absolutely rain wallops down. Here he comes. May as well just get it in all its glory. Here comes the hammer blow, and just like that, well, he tried. Decided instead he wanted to pop a spell off. I think he had one last use of his lovely big lightning spells, so he decided, yeah, you know what? May as well just torture the enemy, since he's a big old sadistic dude. So here it comes. Also, yeah, his eyes glow really nicely, don't they? Kholek looks cool, even if he is very annoying to me in multiplayer. Also, Leon was on his way to help. And I knew, well, Kholek probably outmatched Leon because Kholek is anti-large and all that horrible stuff. Leon was still my best chance, especially if I popped the Lion's Shield in time to try and take out Kholek. But as you can see, the lightning, yeah, blew my men into little pieces. Gloriously disgusting. Spleens flying everywhere. And that was my trebuchet just basically gone in one hit. Kholek didn't need to waste his time, waste his energy, waste the abilities of his hammer. Instead, he could just go right in, knock his hammer in right in, and just go, yep, done, dealt with. My trebuchets would not recover from that one. That was just an instant morale breakage. So all I had to do now was, well, one, deal with the Exalted Hero. He'd come back to the battle once more, as well as the Dwarven Lord to continue irritating me. Also, some of the Forsaken, well, actually the Chaos Trolls, they'd come back into the battle, but they were too far away to really be of any factor. They were going to come marching over, and they do march at a decent speed, but really, they're too far away, and really, I'm not thinking about them. All I'm thinking about right now is ending Kholek before he does anything else. He's the last big unit to take out. Kill Kholek, and this hero probably rout anyway, who was actually broken anyway, so yeah. And I thought I'd have Leon finish him off as well. And there we go. Dead as a doorpan there. Just one big sweep from Bequis and dead. Quite a good battle for kill animation this one actually. We've had, well, my damsel getting cut in half. And also this guy just getting slapped. A big old lovely lightning strike, and now there was one more tragic death animation coming in. If you saw where the arrows are going, I think you know what's coming. Feeling a little bit invigorated from the death of the Exalted Hero, I thought, right, finish this one off. Get Leon in there, kill Kholek, end him now. His life is low, I know my life was low as well, but we needed Kholek dead, because I knew Kholek would probably still cleave through the Foot Squires like they were nothing anyway, and my Beast Slayers of Baston were pretty much out for the count anyway. They were wavering, they were exhausted, so I thought, buy them some time to get their morale and their stamina up. Give him a good old battle. Let them watch Leon deal a nasty blow to Kholek. And well, Kholek noticed Leon and thought, well, what the hell are you doing here, mate? Thinking you could take me on and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, Beckwith is doing what she could, and then Kholek basically went, yeah, get the fuck out of my sight, and blat. That pretty much took out nearly Leon in one go. It's going to take more than that to kill Leon, actually. So instead, he decided, well, if I'm going to take you out, well, I know you're just here to reinforce your men, well, you want to give him a morale show? Here comes a morale show. And 3, 2, 1, smack, and boom. Leon just got absolutely shocked out there. One big smack nearly squashed him, then one big jab knocked him off balance, and then it just took one more jab, and then Leon came off his Beckwith, and well, now he's dead in the ground. Kholek had won the day. He'd unthroned the King of Bretonnia. The Beastlayers of Baston lost their heart at that one. They knew if Leon could have beat Kholek, they couldn't beat Kholek, and well, he was just happy to have the 3 kills now. He could just move in, kill whatever he wanted, and end the battle as he saw fit. And yeah, it was a defeat, but a very close defeat at that. As you can see, there were very few units left on the field. All that was left was a few Dwarven engineers who had been running around and wavering and routing, but yeah. Since we'd basically taken out the mid-artillery, the engineers had been a little concerned to us. The Lord of the Dwarves, he'd basically kept out of combat for the majority of it, but now he thought, well, I may as well just try and get an easy kill of some sort, and just wipe out that Grail Relic, which had just been sitting around. Hadn't really micromanaged the Grail Relic too well, so yeah. But Kholek was coming in now and saying, well, you know what, Mr. Dwarf, you've been useless today, you haven't really done anything, I'll just take that Grail Relic out. And yeah. You chew toy for basic Kholek, even though basically he's having a lot of trouble hitting that one unit. I did have one unit left, by the way. Yes, I did. I had some foot squires way over here, but their morale was just basically in a free fall. They weren't going to stay in. They knew they'd lost, and well, they rightly so ran away. Kholek would have killed them if he'd noticed them, and it was a valiant defeat, a very valiant defeat, and a very, very Pyrrhic victory. I mean, it may as well have said defeat on the other side as well. Their only surviving unit was Kholek and some trolls, and the Dwarven army was pretty much just taken out in one go. But it was, either way, this was probably the most fun battle I've fought in my life. It was really close on both sides. I mean, we'd done some good tactical trickery there. The Green Knight had bought us plenty of time. It had drawn Chaos away, kept him distracted, and bought us enough time to basically kill the Dwarf army off in one go. And then it just basically meant we could take on Chaos, and you know, I'd managed to move Leon quite smartly. I managed to make sure he picked his fights cleverly, even though if his last fight was a, well, not a tactical flaw, but it was his last attempt to try and save his men basically, but then he got shoved off his horse, or his griffin, or his hippogriff. But as you can see, bodies littered the field. Chaos, Dwarf, Carcassonnian, and Bretonnian alike, basically. Everyone lost, though Kholek won. And you could just sit around happy knowing he'd got lots of kills. But you know what? I felt like I'd put in a very strong performance there, because as you can see, basically no one survived. I'd lost well over 3/4 of my army. Carcassonne had lost pretty much all their army. The Dwarves, once more, yeah, they'd lost nearly everything, and so had Chaos. I mean, yeah, once more, Chaos deploys nearly nothing, because Chaos units are so small, but as you can see, they were down to nothing. But Kholek himself, he was basically the biggest hitter of them all, even though some of the Forsaken did a lot of kills. But I think that was basically wiping out Carcassonne's cavalry there. The Exalted Heroes didn't really get a lot of usage there. I mean, when used correctly, yeah, Exalted Heroes, or at least Aspiring Chariot Champions, can do a lot. The Exalted Hero himself, he'd done quite well, because he'd done the usual thing Exalted does, goes back and forth. Leon himself, he'd got 700, well, not 700, I wish he'd got 700 kills. 71 kills for him. The Questing Knights, they'd also done quite well when I'd been using correctly. The Beastlayers of Baston didn't get as many kills as I wanted them to, but at the same time, there wasn't really too much for them to kill. And when I was trying to just basically save them for dealing with Kholek, but unfortunately Kholek had done a pretty good job of covering his hide. But my Questing Knights overall, they'd got plenty of kills from wiping out the Dwarves. My Spirit Shields, yeah, they didn't really do a lot, but really they served their purpose. They were my initial screening force, and they did what they could. My Damsel, she'd been useful just with spells, keeping my troops alive for longer. But at the end of the day, valiant defeat. but it was a defeat I was willing to accept. And as you can see here, the dwarves actually did get a lot of kills. Some of them did loads. I think once more that was dealing with the Carcassonne cavalry. But yeah, I was happy with my performance. I was happy with everyone's performance. We'd all fought our hearts out. I thought we had the strategic edge in this one, but at the same time, sometimes Kholek just doesn't bloody die. And that's all you can say, really. Still, I hope you've enjoyed this battle, and I'll see you all on the next one.